Hi, everyone. It's Sarah and Teresa coming at you to explore a topic that might serve the conversations you have with yourself or others or in the workplace, especially as we head into this year end. Teresa, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about how to get curious with others, particularly about their needs and their values.
Yeah. And why is that important? You like how I'm just like going to put you on the spot?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, how much time
I'm
have
going
you
to get
got?
curious with you about this
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. This matters for a couple reasons. And you chime in, of course. But something I see a lot is that we are very focused on our own minds, our own ideas. We forget that our perspective isn't the perspective.
Mm,
Um, even I was talking to my son and he said, so the thing with social media is it tracks what you look at and it gives you more of the same, right? And so you have to be so intentional about expanding perspectives, about understanding others, about getting out of the algorithm, right? And really looking for understanding. So I think it's also can be a great place of empathy. I think it can be a great place of reminding yourself there's a human on the other side of this need or preference or whatever that might not fit with yours, that might be get annoying, just just doesn't fit, just doesn't jive. So those are my starting comments, my opening
yeah.
statement, if you
Yeah,
will.
I love
Yeah,
it. Well, yeah, we will joke like you have your perspective and I have the right perspective.
right.
And and it's just a perspective. And you know, p- we're intentionally using this language of needs and values because we know that when there is a challenge in a relationship, regardless of where that relationship exists, that when there's a challenge in a relationship, it is because there is a need that's not being met or a value that's being stepped on or not being honored. And so when we think about creating more powerful relationships, it's a combination of how do I better, more clearly communicate what I need? How do I show up in a way that aligns with my values? And how do I understand what the other person needs and what they value? And how do we kind of meet in the middle on that? And so I think that what we find in our work is that idea of needs tends to be a fairly new concept for a lot of folks of, "Oh, I
Yeah,
hadn't thought about that." Yeah, what I need is to just be heard.
yeah. There's so much power in that. And it's simultaneously really simple and really complex.
Yeah.
I think it's something I love about a reminder of getting curious about others and curious with others is we just need reminders that our perspective isn't the only one, which we've said, but
Mhm.
also knowing how to initiate a conversation or participate in a conversation about needs or values because we don't, the one of the biggest sins in any kind of relationship, right, is that you expect the person to read your mind, to just
Mm,
know. And
mm.
so, what I love about some tools about being able to first consider what might be happening and then check it out is you're taking one of those, fateful relationship things off the table. I'm not going to make assumptions. I might have an idea that I want to check, I might just invite you to share. Um, I think I'm I think I'm thinking of a holiday perhaps coming up for me and the mind reading, which does no it serves no one,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
whether you think of it as mind reading or you just think about being guided by assumptions, right? That it just sets that train on the wrong track.
I can own up to this that I would say for the first half of my relationship with Nick, I would just get irritated that he didn't know what I wanted.
So
And,
common,
you
so
know, and
common.
and things that I said that I've heard other people say frequently is, "I shouldn't have to tell him.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to tell them."
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from? Like, where in the media, where in the
Ah,
like, and I don't know what she did. I feel like I had somebody go, "But how will he know? He should
yeah.
just know." And I was like,
Oh,
now I
yeah.
look back at that and go, "Ooh, that's not setting the relationship up for success on some level. It feels like a trap. You didn't get it. You did it
Yeah.
wrong."
Right. And we see this play out regularly
Yeah.
in the workplace as well, where the leader or the person with the most formal power or even the most social power expects everyone to know and behave according to their standard instead of that navigation. Sarah, what are some of your favorite ways to embrace curiosity about
Mm,
others?
mm. Um, what don't I know about them is
Yeah.
just like a great question. It's hard. I try really hard to challenge myself when I'm struggling with somebody to step back and go, "Okay, what is it they need? What is their value?" And I think one of the things I've learned through this work, on my own personal journey is, um, I lost my train of thought. This has been happening a lot today. Just it's a Friday after a long but, this idea of just paying attention to their needs, right? Like, just
Yeah.
I remember. I don't have to share their need. I don't have to
Yeah.
share their value to understand it, to hear it. And so those are some things. And even just asking, I mean, we do work of the collaborative commitments and, just like, what do you need? And you think about going into the holidays. How do we approach this in a way that feels really good and not exhausting and draining? What do we need to
Yeah.
do? Maybe what do we need to try differently? And how this looks in my personal relationship is, my family is big. We're loud. There's 20 of us when we get together. There's a lot of sardines being played, so there's a lot of counting and squealing and cards and so much sardines, Teresa,
Mm,
like,
mm,
and it's very loud group counting to let the person
thank
know.
goodness.
Mhm. And so, Nick's like, "What I need is just the ability to stay upstairs for a little bit to have some quiet recharge time, or if I get a little overstimulated, be okay that I just need to go upstairs." Same with, his family and I, like, there are times where it's just I can only watch so much football. It's not my thing, right? So it's okay if I go upstairs or usually I'm going outside for a walk. That tends like I need the activity to recharge and he needs the quiet.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
What are some of your strategies?
I love what you pointed out too about looking for those little changes that might make a win-win. Even if the win-win is I understand that's what you need and you go do that thing,
Yeah.
right? Like whether it's the quiet or the recharge, I think looking for those little tweaks is good. Something I come up against quite a bit is there's so many norms and this is
Mm.
very cultural depending where you live, what your dynamic is, that whole thing, but the tendency to say, "What would you need?" Nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I've been trying to, when I
Mm.
hear what might be helpful or what do you need, and the response is just that knee jerk nothing, to say, like, well, think about it and let me know. Or if
Mhm.
you think of something, and then I circle back to that, like even a day later, even or then because I've already planted the seed that we might talk about it, I can go back and say, I know you haven't shared anything yet, but one thing I thought of was, and
Mm.
it can be a different kind of opening into, I think anything where you can picture uniting on the same side and kind of looking at the issue from back here together is really helpful. And there will just be things that clash,
Mhm.
um, little clashes, big clashes,
Mhm.
and that's normal. That's
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking about 69 or 70% of conflict is perpetual. It's going to be
Yeah.
the same things
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, and related to that is like and being okay that there might be values of yours that you're like, "Nope, this is a non-negotiable for me."
Yeah,
Or how
absolutely.
you're showing up is like, "That's not the kind of relationship I want," or, "That's not the kind of environment I wanna be in," or, "Those beliefs are harmful to me, and so I'm gonna do what I
Yeah,
need to do to protect me," right? So being curious doesn't necessarily
absolutely.
mean being compliant, doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that you are being submissive. It's just taking a moment to understand the other person and then making a decision based off of that will best serve you and or best serve the relationship.
I think that's a great asterisk to put on this because we would never advocate someone putting themselves in a situation that was unsafe,
Yeah.
physically or psychologically, where you might be harmed because of dynamics and beliefs and that. I think getting curious about others is a great way to gain understanding, but we would never want ourselves or anyone else to put themselves in that situation. But I want to celebrate. We had a situation unfolding of a real clash of preferences related to holidays, and I did see the need that another person in the family had. I did see it and recognize it. And I still wasn't willing to fully compromise. And so I said, I see that this is important to you. I see you really, like, in your soul, kind of need this. This is what I can offer.
Mm,
And I was
mhm.
proud of myself because
Yeah.
before I would have said, and I'm not really rolling my eyes like this, but like I'm more rolling my eyes at the exhaustion that comes when you go past your
Yeah.
boundary, right? So
Yes,
that was
yeah.
more what it
When
was
you
like.
sacrifice yourself.
Yes. And so, traditionally, that would have been my, okay, we'll just do this and kind of all or nothing, right? And it felt like a real moment of personal growth for me to say, I really do. And I care enough about this person that their need is important to me on some
Yeah.
level, but I couldn't give all of myself to that. I couldn't go as far as they were wanting to go. And it felt like what I hope, and this is a person, a few words, but I hope that they felt their need was seen and that they understood I was going to do my best to meet it without giving more than I could give right now. And
Yeah.
that felt like a good balance.
Yeah. No, that's a great example. So we always want to hear from you. What
Yeah.
situations have turned out differently because you were, willing to get curious with somebody? How do you stay curious? What have you learned in navigating relationships? You can always send us a note on the website, or you can shoot us an email at hello@sarahnoelwilson.com. And we will see you later, our friends. Bye.